Join UF Hall of Famer and 14-year NFL vet Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Good morning. Live edition of Matthews in the Morning from the International Diamond Center Studios, locations across the state of Florida, right there at Celebration Point in the heart of Gator Nation. Go check them out. That's International Diamond Center. Comfort Temp Heating and Air is your number one local HVAC company. Comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. Also, I want to give a shout out to Atlantic Roofing, sponsoring our clip of the day. Gators lose last night to a very good Arizona team. No big deal. They're not gonna they're gonna lose probably multiple times this year. Very good basketball team we have. If you missed it last night, Cowboys lose at home to the Cardinals. And let's go to the Titan MR hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. We're joined by the host of the Buddy Martin Show, Buddy Martin. What's up, buddy?
Yeah, well, sad night for the Cowboys. They look awful, but Schottenheimer. Although that team they played, they were better than 2-4, 2-5. Cardinals got some players. Hey, listen, I was going crazy watching the game last night, trying to talk to you on my show. And you're right. They played a really good team. That's a Final Four team, Arizona, in my opinion. I never didn't know much about Pete, except I guess he was an Olympian. What a player he is. And there's some things, some work to be done. You don't roll the ball on the court as a national champion and say, we're back, let's get our trophy. It's going to be some work. And guess what? There's no Walter Clayton Jr., and they could have used him last night.
Yeah, very true. But got to remember, Walter Clayton in year one, nobody really cared about Walter Clayton. Look, it's one game. They play 30-something. This team will be fine. I didn't get to see any of the game. Kevin Brockway will join us in the second part of today's program. I was traveling. I want to give a shout out to the DeLand Quarterback Club. I had to speak there. Great people.
They are great people. Yeah.
So MSRK says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. Cotton looks the same as last year. I thought he put some weight on. Buddy, I didn't think I heard, like I said, I didn't see one bounce of the ball.
I saw the whole game, yeah.
I thought he was a liability for our team last year. It sounds like he didn't play very well last night.
Who'd you say? Who?
Condon.
Yeah, he didn't have a good night at all. He would put a poor night. There's a lot to the game. I mean, Huff did a lot. He played great at times, and then he struggled. I wouldn't say Todd Golden was out coached by Lloyd, but I'll just say that they widened the gap to 12 points in the first half. They were just crushing Arizona, and they were doing damage in the paint. And Arizona just closed the holes, and Florida couldn't make the threes. Shane, they were 7 for 27 from three-point line.
Yeah.
Our friend's Beard was out there last night, and we had him on the program. Right before, well, right after you. So yeah, I mean, we're just not used to seeing games lost by missed free throws and 15 turnovers, Shane, and 7 for 27 for the three-point line. And they didn't have anybody to hold them together down the stretch. We're so used to seeing those three senior guards take over and Clayton knock down the points he needs, or the threes, whatever it needed. And they didn't have that last night. And guess what? There's no Walter Clayton this year, and they won't have it. So it's going to be a little different year, but they're still a really good basketball team. And you start out of the box with a team like Arizona, that's all day work right there. And so we'll see. It was a terrific basketball game. That was up and down, lead change. Florida was up by 12, Shane, at one point in the first. It looked like a runaway. And suddenly they turned it on this kid, Pete. I've never seen this in my life. It says something. There was a foul that wasn't called on Chinlu, and he had his jersey literally ripped off of him. I mean, it was ripped. They didn't change jerseys. Didn't call a foul. Now, that didn't lose the game for him, but Franz Beard says the official that they there says he's one of the worst. That's his opinion. So Florida did not win. I don't think we'll lose their reputation as being a basketball school. And now it's on to Kentucky in football, Shane.
Yeah, I'm looking at the stats here. We shot 43%. Arizona shot 49%.
Mm-hmm.
What's crazy is Arizona only attempted 5 3-pointers.
Mm-hmm.
That's uncharacteristic for
Didn't have
Arizona.
to. They go inside.
They shot 82% from the free throw line. We shot 67%.
Yeah, yeah.
But rebounds were pretty much a wash. Offense, regular rebounds, assists were a wash. Steals were the same. Um, Turnovers were the same. So look, two good basketball teams. We're
Yeah.
going to lose a lot of. I mean, the last year's team lost games. People forget about that.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of texts here on the Titan of our text line. This is Rick in Jupiter. He wants to hear Buddy's thoughts on the officiating versus the Bulldogs. To me, it felt like the SEC didn't want Georgia to lose that one and position them for an easy playoff run.
There's a lot of that out there right now. You and I talked about it last night. I think it's there were some breaks that didn't go Florida's way and some calls that were questionable on both sides. You pointed out that there was a turnover or a fumble by Florida that didn't get called.
And they
Uh,
reviewed it. That's what's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah, it is crazy. And then the big controversial call, and I asked the head ball coach this yesterday, and I asked you last night, catch or no catch. I heard you on the call. I listened to you during the game. I can't stand the guys on TV anymore. And you said, honestly, up front to Sean, it is not. He said the ball hit the ground. You said it's catch. You said no. And I had to agree with you. When I talked to Coach Spurrier just yesterday, he asked me, what did I think? I said, I don't think it was a catch. It was close, but key point here, Shane, we talked about it last night. Had that been called a catch, there wasn't enough evidence to overrule that it wasn't either.
Yeah.
So because it was called no catch on the field, therefore no catch. That was key. It's critical. Tough one. They didn't get the calls their way. Like I said, Kirby Smart should be called Kirby Lucky. Things went his way, and not Florida's way. But I wrote a column about this yesterday, and I'm standing by it, although it was corny, I'm sure. Is that yes, there are no moral victories, but in baseball, there's sacrifice flies and fielder's choices, which don't go in the scorebook as a base hit or a contribution, but they are meaningful. I think this was a game that was meaningful. I thought Billy Gonzalez coached a heck of a good game, but like Coach Spurrier said, it was like Florida thought they could win the game for 3 quarters, and suddenly in the fourth quarter they didn't.
Yeah, I mean, that's very true. I agree with that. I also agree that Georgia knows how to win football games.
No doubt about it.
Their culture there is they're not nearly the team they've been in the past, but
Hmm.
they find ways. I think they've won 5 of their games this year. They
Yeah,
came from behind in the
crazy,
fourth quarter to get it done.
crazy
So
coming
that's
about.
I mean,
It's a gift. It is a gift.
that's what good teams do. And
Yep.
I think their quarterback, he's not flashy, but he's a
Mhm.
winner and competes and knows how to get it done. And the team feeds off him. So, having said that, now we move to the Kentucky Wildcats that
Mhm.
coming off a big win for them, 10-3 at Auburn. Got Hugh Freeze fired. I still think Mark Stoops will be fired at the end of the season. We never play well at Kentucky, buddy, for some reason.
Or Vanderbilt. and
Yeah.
and over the years, dodge some bullets. Yeah, but and they used to be so dominant. It was a joke. And now Kentucky's reversed it somewhat, and they've had more success against it. But then the Gators are not as good as they used to be. We're so consumed with hiring a coach. And by the way, when you're ready for you, I'm going to give you a little scriptural reference to Lane Kiffin. He had a very interesting comment today in his tweets. And I understand where you're coming from, and you're not wrong. And he's the guy, maybe the only guy, but you can't just put all your cards there because things may not go your way there in the coaching situation. I call the slaughterhouse 12. What, 12 of them fired now? 12 coaches, Shane. And not even Veterans Day. 12 coaches fired already, and there's going to be probably at least 4 more. The last one being an ugly one with Hugh Freeze. I mean, it didn't come up for. I mean, somebody pointed out that Hugh Freeze's football team scored fewer points than the Major League Baseball team, either team playing in the final of the seventh game of the World Series. That's never good to be compared to that. So yeah, so let's see what happens. I have a few thoughts about that. And Shane, do you know the meaning of the word frenetic?
Frenetic. I don't know the Webster Dictionary
Well, I don't
version.
either. I had to look it up. I have an idea. I just thought I'd be educational this morning
All right, let's
and looked
teach
it
some
up.
folks and people from some things.
It's fast and energetic in a rather wild and uncontrolled way.
Yeah, like a frenetic pace in
That's
basketball.
correct. Good one. And this is what I think Florida has been with the coaches in the last four times. And there's a danger of being frenetic again, especially when it comes to another scripture, by the way. Thou shalt not covet. I looked that up. That's the 10th commandment. Lane Kiffin is maybe the best guy, but you might not get him. You can't covet him because maybe he's not yours. And then finally, the problem is the money, the money. And I use this scripture. I even looked it up. 1 Timothy 6:10. I'm giving you a Sunday school lesson this morning. The lust for money is the root of all evil. So you mix all that in together. And then listen to this one. This is from Lane Kiffin today. This little blog he does. He reads his book and he puts his thoughts. It's okay not to be okay. It will all work out exactly how it's supposed to work out, Lane Kiffin. That could be your philosophy too, Shane.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. There's no reason for us to keep bringing it up until they come out and make an announcement, which I think probably will be after Mississippi State. Uh, Josh and Wamama on the Titan Mar text line, he heard a stat today that the Gators have not had back-to-back touchdown drives this entire season.
Mm.
That's crazy.
That's a good stat. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that is
Good
a good
job.
stat.
Good job down there in Wild not in Northwest Florida. I know it's down on these
Yeah,
places.
here's another text from Jimmy on the Titan Mar text line. It's very long, so I'm going to paraphrase. It basically talks about everybody talks about us playing a great game. We still only had 280 something yards of offense.
Yeah.
If Billy Napier was the coach and had gone for it on 4th and 1, not make it,
Mm-hmm.
we would still be hearing about it.
Yep. It's
Which is
true.
true. That is
You
very true.
you always say, Shane, sometimes plays work and sometimes they don't work.
Yep.
I didn't love the three straight, and Coach Spurrier didn't either, although he won't criticize. He thinks that their new quarterback coach did a good job overall. And the three straight runs didn't like. And you said all season, and of course your coach says, throw the ball in the end zone. Throw the ball. And they obviously he's not comfortable. Frank, you could put on a clinic on footwork. You could do a video and you could talk about proper footwork because we keep hearing that about DJ and what the problem is and why it causes mechanical breakdowns. And as you point out, it's too late to fix that now. Footwork so important. How did you learn your footwork as a quarterback, Shane?
Say it one more time.
Your footwork.
Yeah.
We talk about being wrong for DJ. How did you learn such good footwork as a playing quarterback?
Well, I was blessed with good feet. I had good, quick feet. But I started at a young age. With
Your
the
daddy
fundamentals.
started coaching you early.
Yeah. I mean, but you got to have good feet when you play baseball. You got to have good feet playing basketball, obviously. Um, I don't know. He didn't have good footwork last year, but got away with it some. Um, but you can't change it overnight. It's going as bad as his
Yeah.
are. It's going to take a long time, and
You
I
got to
don't
live with it then,
break
huh?
bad habits. I really don't.
Mm.
Uh, this Iceman says, "Why does Shane say we shouldn't talk about things like the coach search? Because we've been talking about forever. What do you want us to talk about? You're literally in the media. I'm not in the media, buddy. Um, people subscribe to you, want to talk about it. Iceman, you must be new to this program. I've already basically laid out who I think our next coach is going to be, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and I get his point. I get your point. I am in the media, whether I like it or not.
Yeah, I'm not.
But you are because you do color on the games and you have a show. So, like it or not, you might have act. You not be a media trained journalist, but you are in the media because you have your own talk show, and people expect you to be like everybody else, and you're not, and that's fine. I'm kind of refreshed that we're not pounding it every day on your show because I think it would get, but it is the story, Shane, and you can't avoid it, even though you'd like to. It is the story right now. Who is
Right.
the
And
next coach?
I've
I know,
given my
but they want you
opinion
to
on.
they want you to say it again, Shane.
Okay, well, I'm gonna
So
say it again. Lane
okay,
Kiffin, I believe, will be our
okay,
coach.
okay, and I think you said that now, and you're probably going to say it every day.
Yeah.
And the question is, will we get Lane Kiffin, which is what they want to know about? And you don't know the answer. I don't know the answer, but that is the game we're playing right now. It's like,
Mhm.
who's going to be the coach? It's like coach, who's got the coach? And it's the game they love playing more than anything else, all the way back to Dan Mullen, this, that, and the other. It's going to be right there. And it's what makes talk show hosts or talk show listeners covet the program. What's the deal? What's the latest on the coach? I want to know, Shane.
Yeah, the problem is the timing of all this, not just with us, but all
Mhm.
these other schools, right? Because
Yeah,
you still have 5 or 6 weeks till the season's over, and nothing's going to happen at any of these schools until the season's in.
yeah.
So that's why it's almost exhausting, right?
It
If
is
you,
exhausting,
if a
but it's
coach
what we
got
do.
fired like week 10 and you only had 2 weeks until the season's ended,
Mhm.
then it wouldn't be so bad. But we've been talking about it, seems
And
like
we're going to be talking about it
a
till they
month.
hire him. That's just the way it's going to be, and whether we like it or not. But
Yeah.
what do you want to talk about? Golf? We don't have any golf to talk about. Baseball's
Well, the
over.
Gator golf team had a really good fall.
Yeah, they did. They won it. They actually won that tournament at East Lake, right?
Yes, they did. Clint says here on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plum QB, with our record and body of work on film this year at the QB position, do you think we should have an open QB competition next
Mm,
fall? Got to
mm.
think Trammell or a transfer QB will push for the job. Okay.
Interesting.
I talked about this last night at the Atlanta
Mm,
Quarterback Club. Well, first of all, I don't know how NIL contracts work, first of all, but I just put that aside. The new coach is going to bring players or keep players that he likes, not what the Gator fans like or what Billy Napier's staff liked. Not just at the quarterback position, but at left tackle, at linebacker, at corner, at tailback. Just because the Gators love player X does not mean the new staff is going to like that player. Does that make sense?
yeah, of course. They bring your
And
own.
so they will sit down with these players and say, look, whether you want to use the quarterback or you want to use the center, whatever position, they're going to sit down. Buddy Martin, you're a good player, but
You don't fit our system.
but we have another player that we're
Hmm.
bringing from a high school
Hmm.
that's coming in as a true freshman, or we have this player coming from our former school, or we have a guy that we really like in the portal that plays your position, and we're probably leaning towards him being our starter. That's what's going to happen. Um, but I don't that's at every position, not just at quarterback. That's
Well,
going to be
quarterback is the focal position, and things
right. But what
like
I'm saying is, could
yeah,
DJ be the quarterback here next year? Yes. Could he
yeah,
be somebody else? Absolutely, yes, as
yeah.
well.
His
Could it
little
be
brother
Trammell? Yes,
committed.
it could be Trammell too. But
Yeah.
I, if you ask me right now,
Hmm.
I would probably think it would be somebody probably not even on our roster.
Really.
I just think I just know how coaches think, buddy.
Hmm.
Now they may say, I'm going to bring my guy in and we're going to have a competition.
Hmm.
And I guess you could do that in the spring and then, but now I don't know what the new portal rules. If you transfer then, can you play in the fall? I'd have to follow up on all I'll get all that.
I think it's once you transfer, that's it. You can't either got to play. I mean, I think it's a one time. I don't know. We got to get somebody on that knows this.
Well,
This is
they changed the
I know,
portals again. They used to have a portal like when
right?
after the
No more.
spring.
Now they have one show. I think one. Well, somebody. Where's Andy? Somebody knows this. We don't know. We're not good at this. But I do think it's an important point here, though, which is an open competition for quarterback because that's exactly what your coach did.
But again, if Buddy Martin is coaching School X
You're going to
and
bring your guy.
you listen and you bring your quarterback,
Hmm.
that guy's going to be the starter.
Well, he needs to have a chance at open competition. But what about Tramel Jones?
Well, they may sit down with Trammell and say, "Look, we like you a lot, but
Yeah,
just think about it, buddy.
yeah. No, I hear
How
you.
many kids were on a roster around
Hmm.
the country this year,
Right.
and a coach plucked a transfer quarterback out of the portal, and he started.
I remember one guy was sixth string and he got promoted and he got to play and he won 2 times MVP in the SC. Oh, that was you. I forgot.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. Did you think Lane's got one stash somewhere, a QB stash he would bring?
I mean, if Lane's our coach, he could bring every quarterback on his roster if he wanted,
Yeah,
you know, or he could go to Arkansas and bring Taylor Green, or he could,
yeah.
you just don't know. That's the thing is like, we love Jaden Ball, right? We love Jaden Ball.
He might go somewhere else.
Somebody could throw $3 million at him to go be a tailback somewhere.
Hmm.
You know, in today's world, you just don't know. That's why people talk about
Hmm.
we need to keep our roster. I agree to a point, but you cannot worry about that. Let the next coach fill out the roster the way he
I
wants.
hear you, QB, but here's the thing. The story last year was DJ Lagway. Phenomenal finish to the season, 4 game turn, terrific showing. And now people are saying, why can't he do it again this year? And I guess he could, probably not facing the 4 games he's got to play. And I think the other thing is, do you have a guy on your roster who might be able to take a series? And I asked Coach Spurrier about this yesterday. I'm sorry I don't have the tape. I've lost it. But about what do you do? And then he said, well, my style is you put the other guy in. It's like a
Yes.
bullpen when the pitcher is not having a good day. As he pointed out, that Jesse came in some big games and won when he was playing quarterback off the bench. He believes in using that bench. What's the John Wooden saying? The coach's best
Coach's
friend
best friend is the
is
pine.
a pine. Yeah, there you go. So
But
I understand where the storyline's going, and it's part of it is who's our quarterback, who's our coach. That's what we're asking these talk shows.
no, I agree. But the least thing on my mind is who the quarterback's going to be next year. It's
What's
more
the big thing on your mind? The
who the
coach?
coach is going to be.
Yeah,
That's more important to
yeah.
me. Ruse Ogre State Farm Office is a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance option for you and your family. Visit ogreinsurance.com. Give them a call at 352-240-1779. Kanye Ron says, can't let players dictate that they are separate from the team during the summer to work with their own coaches. Agree 1000%
How you
with
going to stop it today in today's world, though? This guy's
that.
got so much money they can hire every person
Yeah,
they
but none of
want
that,
to.
none of those guys are helping any of these guys.
It doesn't mean they're not, but there's always that guy. Even Tom Brady had his guy, you know?
Well, I guess I just
I'm not saying it's right. It's just the way it is, Shane.
yeah, I'm 1000% against it.
Yeah.
So Luke here wants to know, do you think if our record is different if Trammell was our quarterback? I don't know. I
I
mean,
can't go there. I
yeah,
can't go
you
there.
can't go there. He's more fundamentally sound, but you
Well,
never know.
Danny Werfel
He could go
told,
in a game being fundamentally sound, throw three
yeah,
interceptions.
your
So
buddy Danny Werfel told Coach Spurrier last Sunday, they were sitting in the press box or the box of the AD, and he asked about Tramell Jones because obviously Steve Jr.'s working with him, and it didn't really Steve Senior doesn't want to talk about that, but Danny Werfel said to his former coach, every time I've seen that guy throw in practice, he throws a perfect spiral. He really likes the way he throws the ball. So
yeah,
Shane,
he throws what I like to call a very catchable football.
yeah. So here he has good footwork, throws a catchable football, throws a beautiful ball. Why is he playing? Well, he's playing against one of the best prospects in the world at quarterback who had a phenomenal season last year. There hasn't been opportunities, but I asked Coach Spurrier if he was the coach, would he put Tramell Jones in? He said, well, that was my style, and he would.
Yeah, he after every one of our podcasts that we actually
Mhm.
do today with Steve Russell inside the
No,
huddle,
yeah. What time is
he said he would have done it in South Florida game, he would have done it
Yeah.
in Texas
Okay.
game, he would have done
Okay.
it at maybe not
Hmm.
Texas. It was like three straight games, but
Right.
whatever. It is what it is. Robert from Fort Myers says, is it me or does it seem there's an unusually high number of coaches being fired this year?
Oh
Yes.
yeah, absolutely.
Is that a product of the insane amount of money coaches are making?
Yes.
Maybe the
Yes.
NIL, the ability of these players to transfer basically at will, maybe a combination, in
Yep.
your opinion.
You got it.
Well, I well, the insane amount of money the coaches are making is not why they're getting fired, because they're getting fired and you're having to pay them even more money. I think it's you better win and you better win immediately or you're gone. I don't think they give coaches a long time. If you don't, I think in today's world, if you hire the right coach, you can be relevant immediately. Look at Indiana. I
Yeah.
think Kirk
Wow.
Cignetti's a phenomenal coach.
Phenomenal.
But, people say it's gonna take them 3 or 4 more. I disagree with that a thousand
You always
percent.
have. You
Hire
always
the
have.
right person.
Yeah. But Shane, it's like if you're going to go to dinner and you go to, do they have Bonanza Steakhouses? Probably not. You go
Bonanza was
to,
great. I remember
yeah,
those.
okay, but if you have a chance to go to Bonanza or Ruth Chris Steakhouse,
It
Ruth
depends.
Chris,
It depends
oh no,
they're
Ruth
both
Chris
good.
is way above it and costs
No, I
so
know
much.
from a price standpoint,
Well,
but
you expect a better steak, don't you?
I don't know. Bonanzas were pretty good back in my
No,
day.
man, ain't no way you're going to mistake Bonanza for
That
this.
silver plate type
I
thing
know.
that with the
I know,
bread.
but we're talking
Oh,
about a thick, juicy filet.
yeah.
I mean, there's no comparison. But people are looking for they're looking for something for the money. So that's where the money comes in.
941 Low Life on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. Hit it right on the head right here, buddy. Too many openings and not enough elite coaches to
Yeah,
replace them.
yeah. That's my area code, by the way. Yeah, that's just look, they haven't got enough coaches to go around. I sat with Rob Brown last night and tried to plug into coaches. We ran out about after 5 or 6 schools. There's going to be, as he points out, 12 coaches. That's 24 jobs. Whatever, going to change. So, yeah, it's crazy. I mean, what a time to be a coach, Shane. You should have studied with Zayden
I
High
know.
School and gone on and. They'll
I
pay you $1
agree.
million just to come out and watch guys throw.
This text on the Titan More text line from 770 area code, I don't know where that is, says, you guys keep missing the obvious choice of Dabo.
Okay.
You have to
Dabo,
surround
oh,
him with an
please.
organization to be successful.
No. Get out of here with that Dabo stuff. Would you hire Dabo?
No, I
Oh,
love Dabo, but
yeah,
he's not
but
going to
he's
leave. Why would
had,
he leave Clemson?
because he might get run out if he keeps
They
on
ain't going to
going.
run him out of there.
Well, there's a general way of saying, we don't like what you're doing. We're going to cut
Okay,
you.
but my question, who they going to hire?
That's the problem. That's
Yeah.
just Shane. I'm not much of an economist, but it's the law of supply and demand.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
there's
agree.
not enough good coaches.
Florida Victorious, proud NIL partner of the Florida Gators, joined today to help make Florida victorious. Who you got on your show tonight, buddy?
Well, Lauren Meadows is hosting tonight. You'll have Rob Brown on. I want to say a word about an event we're going to have coming up soon. We're going to announce it. Going to have one at Spurger's Ground and Grill, and that is to help the women's basketball program. Kelly Ray Finley, and the author of the book The Golden Season, Franz Beard, book coming out in a couple of weeks. We're going to go there and we're going to donate proceeds of the book to the women's basketball program. They need a lot of help. They don't get the NIL money. So a couple of things like that coming out. The book is going to be out in 2 weeks. It'll be here, and you want to get a copy, and especially you want to go and support the women's basketball program. We'll announce that date probably next week.
Okay. Skip says, QB, would you take on Facebook Live brought to you by Mello? Would I take a consultant position if Lane was the coach? Yeah, if I could
Of course
still
you would.
play golf and do everything else.
Yeah, no,
But he
you
doesn't
take
need it. He doesn't need, he probably needs 12 to 15 analysts. That's all they need.
He's already got his offensive coordinator.
Well, he'd probably bring his whole staff, is my guess.
Well,
That's what they usually do. Buddy, good stuff as always. Have a
Thank
great
you.
week. We'll talk to you next week, my
thank
man.
you, Shane. Thanks for having
We'll see
me
if we
on.
can talk about a win after the Kentucky.
Be nice, Kentucky. Yeah, have a good
That's
trip.
Buddy Martin. Join us on the Titan More Highline courtesy of Comfort Temp. Quick timeout. Come back. We'll talk to Kevin Brockway. We'll dive into the basketball game last night. You're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the Morning from the International Diamond Center Studios. We'll be right back.
Our premium sponsors are Atlantic Roofing, Campus USA Credit Union, International Diamond Center, J.F. Hayden's Craft Liqueurs, Los Landeros Tequila, Meldon Law, Titan MRI and Imaging, UF Health Orthopedics. Our gridiron sponsors are Baker's Sports, Comfort Temp, Electronics World, Florida Cracker Kitchen, Florida Victorious, Gallo Car Wash, Miapa Latin Cafe, Peachland Dental, Quality Plumbing, Ruse Ogre State Farm, Silverback Concrete, 84 Lumber, Big Mills Cheesesteaks, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Gator Dominoes, Ironwood Golf Course, McDonald's of Gainesville, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, UF Bookstores, Advocare, and MG&A Wealth. Watch and listen to us live on Facebook and YouTube. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. And if you want to advertise, give my man Freddie a call at 352-284-3733.
The jewelry store with the most likes, the most positive reviews, the most raving fans is International Diamond Center.
IDC is definitely a place that I will come to as long as I live here. This will be my go-to place always.
Literally the best jewelry store in town. You'll make friends for life coming in here. I felt like family from the beginning. The value was extraordinary.
I've got a beautiful diamond on my finger and I'm very proud of it.
International Diamond Center.
I'm very happy to show it off.
At Celebration Point and online at shopidc.com.
Welcome back to the International Diamond Center Studios. When Urban Meyer wanted to introduce his high-quality tequila to the Gator Nation, he made sure to get it to the HBC and his team at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Dorn's Liquors. Go beyond with smooth Los Landeros tequila. Back to the Titan and More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Tent. We're joined by Kevin Brockway from the Gainesville Sun. Good morning, Kevin. How you doing, buddy?
Good morning. How are you?
Kevin, we got people. I'm trying to keep people from jumping off the ledge here today. We're not a very good basketball team. Ty Golden's got his work cut out for him. We can't shoot. What else did I leave off? I didn't, like I said, I didn't see one bit of it. I just looked through the stats. It looked like a pretty even game statistically. And it ain't like Arizona is a legit basketball program as well.
Back-to-back Sweet 16s. You're traveling across the country. It's a de facto home game from them. They're in a neighboring state. There was a lot that went into it, but you get off to that quick 12-point lead and everything is clicking. And the guards look great for the first 10 minutes, making shots, making passes. Arizona extended the defense late in the first half. And I thought Condon's second foul was a big momentum point because it caused the defense to play passive. Todd will keep guys in with 2 fouls, but the problem is when you do that, defensively you become passive, and then Arizona puts up 50. And boy, this kid Koa Pete, I'm telling you, he was a monster. And I think Arizona overall, long athletic team, caused Florida a lot of problems. You give up 50 in the first half, not ideal. Defensively, they fought in the second half, but I think what we all suspected, losing Walter Clayton and Will Richard and Elijah Martin, where were the big shots to come from down the stretch? We didn't really see it. Xavier Lee hit one with the under 4, one big 3, but after that, couldn't get that big dagger 3 to kind of cut the lead. To their credit, I thought that certainly when they were down 8 or 9, they didn't quit. I mean, the press, they forced some turnovers. They got to a 1-possession game. Boogie had a chance to tie it with an open 3 with about 30 seconds left from the corner. He didn't. I thought in that situation off that turnover, he probably should have maybe driven in, cut it to 1 because, shooting threes isn't Boogie's strength. So all in all, I think something to learn from. Tommy Houck played unbelievable. But I thought Condon and Shinyalu were rather disappointing in this game.
Yeah, I think Condon's got to take a huge step. I thought he was an issue for us last year. I still today cannot figure out what these NBA people see. But anyway, you talk about the big shots and all that stuff, and obviously you had the senior guards last year that did all that. But I'm trying to remember early in last season, did we hit a lot of big shots, or was it more during our run during the tournament? You know what I'm saying, Kevin? I mean, this is game 1. I think the more they play together, I think we'll get better, obviously. But for people to, criticize Boogie and Xavier and Lee, I mean, this is game 1 of a long, long season.
I agree, but I think Walter, hit big shots throughout. And I think really, if you looked at Walter, it really started the year before. We had that huge game against Arizona and a loss. Or not Arizona, excuse me. I'm trying to remember the team they played in the NCAA, Colorado, in that loss when he, went off for 33 and hit some big shots down the stretch in that game. And it kind of carried over into a senior season. But I do think that, it takes listen, I think the overall chemistry, backcourt to front court, we saw a lot of passes that were off. I think that can't be underestimated. It's a new backcourt trying to mesh with an established front court. That could take a little time as well, and getting to know each other in terms of. But there were shots to be made in that game that weren't made for sure. I mean, 7 to 27, you missed 23s. It's something that you hope that can develop over time, and coming back home on your home rims, I think certainly will help in that regard. Going forward in November and December. So yeah, I wouldn't quite overreact. This isn't Auburn being taken to overtime by Bethune-Cookman. This is Arizona's a legit two-time Sweet 16 team. Tommy Lloyd's a good coach, and this kid Koa Pete came out of nowhere, and he was a real problem.
And people need to remember, Walter Clayton's one of the greatest, if not the greatest player we've ever had. Okay, this is like losing Tim Tebow and Warfel, right? I mean, hopefully somebody steps up. They will. They will. Luke says here on YouTube, Lee, Micah, and Hawk carried this team. Boogie, Condon, and Chin did nothing of note. Again, we'll see as the season moves forward.
I thought, it's funny. I was reading a friend's email, and he was really down on Boogie too. Listen, I thought he came up with some good steals. I do think I thought there was a big momentum point in that game in the second half, though, that was somewhat disappointing, where they were down 5. I think there was a flagrant that Houck got, and he got 2 free throws to get the ball back, because at that point they were down 7, they're down 5. Boogie drives in the lane, he gets fouled, but he cramps up. And in that situation, Tommy Lloyd, your coach can pick the guy on the floor to take free throws. So of course he picks Sandlog and misses 2 in a row. I thought that was a big momentum point, because he cut it to 3 and then they got it back to 9. That was a little disappointing with Boogie, and that's the thing too. Like, you wonder, you get pinballed around. I think the guards, the one concern with the guards, I think, is the physicality of the guards. And Clapshar came off the bench and he hit some threes early as well, but they got pinballed around quite a bit in that game. And I know they tried really hard, strength and conditioning wise, in the offseason on those guys, but they're still a little slightly built, and I think that got exposed, particularly facing a more mature, experienced guard like Bradley from Arizona.
Kevin on the Titan More text line says, Lee's shot seems like he has a really slow or low release on his threes. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree, but so did Matt Walsh back in the day. You can make it work if you create enough space, and I thought Xavier played fine. I know he did. He got another one blocked at the rim down the stretch. Look, it's an adjustment going from Princeton to this level, Power 4 conference level. I think he's going to learn in that regard in terms of finishing and getting a shot off. But different guys have different releases. I think that that's something that you can work around. You just got to create more space for yourself.
Yeah. So anyway, obviously people are disappointed, but I think the basketball team will be fine. I have zero issues with it, even though I didn't see the game. Let's switch gears a little bit, Kevin. Gators coming off a loss to Georgia, head to Kentucky. I was just talking to Buddy about it. I just trying to remember the last time we played really well at Kentucky. Can you remember?
2019 they came back, remember?
Is that the game where they didn't cover the receivers?
That was the game where Felipe got hurt, remember, in that game also. And Felipe got off to a bad start, and then that was the beginning of Kyle Trask.
Right. But what was the game where Kentucky didn't even cover? I think McElwain was the coach. They didn't even line up on 2 receivers, and we hit passes for touchdowns. I think it was under McElwain. But anyway.
That could have been the case. But I think that listen, this Kentucky team is coming off a high, certainly shutting down Auburn. They got Hugh Freeze fired, by holding Auburn to 3 points on the plane. So they'll be coming in with a little bit of confidence. But I think people forget that game 2 years ago, right? Ray Davis, NFL running back, Liam Cohen, now the coach of the Jaguars, is the offensive coordinator. Bob Stoops had a couple of weapons there in that game 2 years ago that he won't in this game. So I think that certainly, like I said, Florida, they have a shot. I just think, what I'm looking for is, motivation to spirited because, we've seen, the last 2 years when you lose to Georgia it can go two ways. Last year, I think, they lost to Texas, but then they won four in a row. But the year before that loss to Georgia, I think led to what, a 4 or 5 game losing streak. So our guy's gonna, losing Dallas Wilson is another blow, obviously, to the receiving core. But Trey Wilson looked like he, stepped up a little bit in that Georgia game, and maybe that'll continue.
That was 2017 when they didn't cover two receivers for a touchdown. Asa says on Facebook Live, I would tell you it's the first game of a very long season. I think Kevin's correct. Look, I have zero issues about basketball. I think they'll lose 7 or 8 games this year because that's how many did they lose last year?
They only lost four. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they'll lose 7 or 8. They'll be
I'm going to
fine.
tell you this, their non-conference schedule, obviously, listen, they might, they very easily could lose to Duke. They could lose to UConn in the non-conference and be 10-3. But I don't think the SEC is going to be as much of a bear as it was last year. And certainly, Auburn losing Bruce Pearl, and we saw what happened with Steven taking over as coach. And, but you losing Buzz Williams at Texas A&M. I don't see the SEC and I think a nice goal for this team would be to win the SEC outright and then to go into March with a lot of confidence that way because I think the SEC is a lot more winnable this year than it was last year.
Yeah, I agree. Back to football. Kevin, let's just talk about the SEC right now. Today on November the 4th, who do you think plays in Atlanta?
Who do I think plays in Atlanta? I think Texas A&M plays in Atlanta. And I think tough one between Georgia and Alabama.
But Alabama, does Alabama, I mean, they have Auburn left, they have LSU left. I don't know who else, but doesn't Georgia has to go to Mississippi State, and don't they still have to play Texas?
Georgia's got to play Texas, but they have that game in Sanford Stadium. So, but obviously, if Georgia and Alabama are tied with one loss, then Alabama has a
Alabama
tiebreaker.
goes.
So I
But
would say
Alabama,
Alabama. I'm going to say Alabama, Texas A&M. I think those are.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I don't think Alabama's going to lose a conference game.
No, because I think that LSU's checked out. You got an interim coach. You got Mississippi State. You got two interim coaches in your last 3 games. So, I think Kalen DeBoer. I think they figured it out. I was certainly, when they were on the road against South Carolina, they were on the ropes a couple of weeks ago. And watching that game, they kind of regrouped and they showed a little something to me. Ty Simpson, particularly, showed a little something to me in terms of how they got better and Kalen, like I said, Kalen DeBoer and his staff and bringing over Ryan Grubb, they're starting to figure it out over there.
Yes, they are for sure.
Amazing they lost FSU though. If you think about it, it's like how that happened is just beyond me. First week I guess playing in the rain and so forth, but that's still
Yes,
dumbfounding to me.
yeah. Text here on the Tagamore text line from George. George wants to know, Kevin, give us your thoughts on the Florida Gator coaching search.
I mean, the latest we're hearing is still Lane and Eli. I've heard Jed Fish's name thrown around a little bit too as a possible fallback option, but I think it's Lane or bust at this point. They got to like I said, but do you wait? I think that's a big question. I thought it was interesting. Billy Gonzalez, he got the recruiting question yesterday. He said, "Look, we're still actively recruiting." I know somebody locally, he's meeting with for a preferred walk-on spot. So they're going to try to, keep this thing together. Nobody's decommitted yet. But I think you're always concerned about signing day in the portal window. But to me, it's more important to get their guy right in the front of the chair because, especially a guy like Lane, we've seen what he's done with a Division II quarterback from Ferris State. I think he can scheme up anyone and do more with less, certainly in terms of that regard. So not for people panicking about the recruiting class, I think again you can recover quickly with that.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I'm glad you brought that up because I've had people text me about the Ole Miss coaches still recruiting, telling their guys, we're going to be here. That's what happens. They some of those guys don't even know what's going to happen. But what I'm trying to say is in today's world, these kids are going to stay committed till they see what actually happens. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Oh yeah, yeah, I think so. And you've got that new right window where you got 20 or 30 days right after the coach is hired, before you enter the transfer portal, where you can sell a kid. So I think that that could help too, depending on the timing of it.
Text here on the Titan More text line from Kevin here in Gainesville says, how does Kevin feel about Mario at Miami?
I was furious. Yes, I was beyond, listen, I would school Mario, but it was another completely mismanaged game, and you call that timeout on 4th and 9 when you probably should have just let your defense play. And they did it that way against Notre Dame, and they got the sack to close out the game. I don't know why you do that, and obviously your guy gets confused, but just the undisciplined play is just very frustrating. And they don't get up for the ACC games, and I told Buddy Martin that a few weeks ago when he was poo-pooing the ACC. Oh, Miami's gonna. I'm like, I've seen this movie before, and this is what happens. You lose to Louisville, and now their college football playoff hopes are all but ruined. So
There's no way they make the playoffs, right? They're out.
I mean, they could, if they could somehow get to the ACC title game, with 2 losses, if things shake out a certain way, then you can play in the ACC title game. But I would think that that would be their only avenue. I don't know. I don't know if a 2-loss Miami team at 10-2 gets in as an at large. Yeah,
Give me an update because I don't follow it. Who is leading the ACC right now?
I think Virginia. No, Virginia.
Virginia
Virginia's
and probably Louisville.
Virginia's undefeated. And Louisville's got 1 loss to Virginia, and Georgia Tech lost too. So yeah, it's a whole bunch. Duke has got 1 loss.
What
Manny
about Pitt? How
Diaz.
many losses does Pitt have?
Pitt's got, I think, 1 or 2, and Miami plays them at the end of the year, but Pitt plays Georgia Tech. So there's still a lot to be played. I mean, I think if Miami could somehow win out and you know uh, get the second place with 2 losses, I think that would be their only avenue.
Boy, if Virginia wins the ACC, that might be one of the greatest turnarounds in the history of college football.
Oh yeah, no, and he was certainly Elliott was Dabo's offensive coordinator, so it's a nice feather in his cap. But again, the unbalanced schedules in all these leagues, the unbalanced schedules. It's just
Yes.
it's a big problem because you're not really. I mean, what is a conference championship if you're not really playing everyone in a conference round robin? Because you could have a weaker or stronger schedule in the conference based on a number of factors.
Florida Crackers, the brand for original Floridians, great food and Southern hospitality in the center of the universe, Brooksville, Florida, FloridaCracker.com. A few more minutes with Kevin Brockway on the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Town. This is a text from Joshua. He wants to know, who are your leading candidates for the Heisman Trophy right now?
Who is my leading candidate for the Heisman Trophy? How about Fernando Mendoza from Indiana?
Yeah.
You'd have to say that he's up there on the list for sure. And maybe Jeremiah Smith at Ohio State.
What about I would throw Marcel Reed in there. I'd throw Trinidad Chambliss in there.
Yep, no question. You would
Um,
have to you'd have to put them high on the list for sure.
I have not been able to watch Ohio State. I know they're undefeated. How's Julian Sayin playing?
He's doing okay, yeah. But I think it's Smith that makes it more go. But Sayan is certainly listen, he's certainly up there for sure. So um,
You brought up Mendoza. I don't Obviously I don't have the schedules in front of me. The only way they play Ohio State would be in the Big Ten championship game, right?
yeah, that's correct.
And it looks like it's that going that direction because Oregon has a loss. So anyway, it's
And
lots to
Indiana
check
beat him.
in.
Yeah, Indiana beat him head to head too.
That's
So
right. That's
if
right.
there's a tie, then Indiana would go. Now that game's up the road in Indianapolis. It'd be interesting. All those crazy Hoosier fans would have to stay away from Assembly Hall for we might call it a few months. But I think that they've really warmed to football up there since Signetti has taken over. It's been an amazing transformation.
It really is. Speaking of that, we got a long text here from John, and it's regarding Signetti. He wants to know, were you surprised that he re-signed? Matt Rule has re-signed. Why do you think Kiffin has not re-signed?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. Because I think unlike Signetti and unlike I think Rule and Signetti, didn't want to mess with happiness and stability with where they were. And you would wonder the same for Lane, but maybe Lane's got a little wanderlust and wants to see what's out there, what else is out there. And certainly you've got Auburn, LSU, and Florida all waiting, certainly for coaches and Penn State. So there's a lot of good jobs out there. And I think that maybe he's just a little unsure for whatever reason about where he is and what his long term goals are, and if he feels like maybe he can win a championship at Ole Miss compared to some of those other places.
All right, let's play a little game here. Now that you brought that up, you brought up Auburn, LSU, and Florida all open right now. I think Kentucky comes open later. Let's just say right now, Kevin, who do you think will be the head coach at Auburn, LSU, and Florida? And then I'll give you my thoughts on it as well.
I think Summerall for Auburn would be a good fit. I think for Florida, I think it'll be Lane. I still do, and I think for LSU,
Nobody, that's the one I can't come up with.
I don't know. Maybe James Franklin. I don't know. That's weird.
Yeah,
Franklin could be in play for Auburn too if he doesn't get. Yeah,
I'm gonna go Florida Lane. I'm gonna go Drinkowitz Auburn, and I'm gonna go John Summerall Ole Miss. I think he will go to Ole Miss. I know my Ole Miss people, that's who they want if Lane leaves. I don't really have a feel of who would be a good fit or even who would want the LSU job right now.
yeah. No, it's a very weird situation. And listen, they might go younger. You know what I mean? Because the governor's involved and he doesn't want to pay
You know
for the
who would be a
buyouts. Yeah.
great hire for them? And I hope they don't hire him because I think is Eric Morris, the coach at North Texas.
Yes.
Oh, he's pretty good.
That's, yeah.
Kevin,
Maybe
good stuff.
Alex Golish too could be in play for LSU. Maybe.
Yep, no doubt. Hey, good stuff as always. Let everybody know they can follow you on Twitter and check out your podcast as well.
Yeah, Gatorsports.com, Gainesville.com, at Kevin Brockway, G1, buddy.
Appreciate your time, Kevin. By the way, a lot of people said you look like Larry Bird today.
I'll take it.
There you go. All right, that's Kevin Brockway. Join us on the Titan More Highline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. The Pouncey Twins provide all of Gator Nation with the highest quality liqueurs made by J.F. Hayden Craft Liqueurs. Find your favorite flavors at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Appreciate everybody joining us. We'll be here tomorrow, folks. Take care.